Good morning. Welcome to Unity on the Space Coast, our home where we fill ourselves with love and dwell in sacred mind. Won't you join us in singing the song entitled Holy Place? As we gather in this holy place, we leave all cares behind. We're here to fill our hearts with love and dwell in sacred mind. Thank you, as we embrace this love sublime. We dwell in sacred mind. Thank you, we dwell in sacred mind.
We are deeply thank you. We are deeply grateful for all that you're going to do today. And we just bless Reverend Roxanne and Debbie as they enjoy their time at the village. And we just open our hearts and minds to receiving all that you have for us today in this place through one another. And so it is. Good morning, everyone. So glad to see so many faces that are familiar and some faces that are new to me. So thank you for joining us. And do we have any people here for the very first time? Thank you. Don't tell me. Randy, right? Awesome. Randy. Welcome, Randy. I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for your warm presence. I also want to let those, you can go back, who are new to, if you would like, you can reach us for anything that you need that we could help you with through Messenger, our website, or you can email us through office@unityonthespacecoast.org. If you happen to be on Facebook, you can like our page and be connected that way. Or you can call us at 321-385-0195, especially for those who will watch this in the near future. So thank you so much.
So, good morning again. My name is Barbara McGillicuddy, and today I'm Eric Brooke.
Yes.
Shapeshifter extraordinaire.
That's right.
No, Eric is out of town, and we want to do him proud, so we have brought in Mr. Bob Patterson on guitar, and we are so grateful for his leadership this morning. Thank you so much. And of course, Mr. James back on the drums, ladies and gentlemen. And me, as I said, I'm the stand-in, so we're gonna need your help singing today. Are you ready? Yes. Okay, don't let me forget. The sound booth dude, Alex. You know, he's been going through it this morning. He needs an extra round of applause, please.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And now I'm going to turn it back to Deanne.
Thank you so much. So, yes, we're going to celebrate birthdays today. Some of the birthdays that we know about are Siri, Wanda, Patricia, Pat, Debbie, and Mike. And so if anyone else has a special birthday, even if it's a recovery birthday or something else that you're proud of, yes, ma'am. Oh, my goodness. Wonderful.
Oh, my goodness. Happy birthday to Danny's 90.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. May 23rd. Mike, May 23rd? Awesome. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yeah, Reverend Roxanne loves a party, so it just makes me think about her. She would be celebrating and yaying you all if she were here, so yay. Birthday today after service, as always. Our Broadway musical concert is coming up on May 13th at 7. That's on a Friday, and we're going to be having Eric and Sean and Barbara participate in that and have a wonderful time. So please come out, and please know that this is a fundraiser, so buy your tickets. I believe that, I'm sorry? This is a fundraiser, thank you, Saturday. Oh, Saturday, it's a mistake. Okay, so it's Saturday, May the 13th. Thank you. Thank you for the clarity on that. Saturday, May the 13th at 7 p.m. This is a fundraiser, so I believe, Judy, you have the tickets. Are you selling the tickets? They're online. Perfect. Okay, so they're online. Thank you so much. So please join us and bring someone with you. Yeah. Our book study with Dixie Reed, LUT, is called Breaking the 10 Commandments. And this is, of course, a wonderful treasure of information that was created by Eric Butterworth. You really, if you can make it, please do make it. You don't want to miss it. It's very interesting. I remember hearing it the first time about 3 years ago, and I thought, yeah, I never would have come up with that. So it definitely is new thoughts on the 10 Commandments. So she's having that in person on Thursdays from 10 to noon. Our healing service with Barb McGillicuddy is this Wednesday at 6 o'clock, and is that offered online as well?
It is not necessarily online, but it is for those who need healing and those who are healers. So we gather in a beautiful healing circle.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. How understanding our past lives unlocks our karmic debt. Barbara McGillicuddy is also leading that as well, starting Wednesday, May 17th at 6 o'clock. Did you want to give some information on that?
So that is the Titusville Metaphysical Happenings, the forum that we gather once a month here. And I've been getting, it's hard to explain, but lots of downloads from Spirit regarding how our past lives definitely affects the way that we are living today. And I'm going to try to explain all of that, and coming to the end of the karmic debts that we may have. We're going to cut them, we're going to cauterize them, and we are going to live on.
Love that. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Yay, absolutely. So we're going to share Unity on the Space Coast Vision and Mission. I will say it first, and then you all will follow. We'll say it together, okay? Unity on the Space Coast celebrates a world of harmony, abundance, and divinity. We joyously express truth, inspiring transformation. Together, Unity on the Space Coast celebrates a world of harmony, abundance, and divinity. We joyously express truth, inspiring transformation. And we'd also like to say our prayer for protection, our love and light, power, and presence together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yay, God. Thank you.
Okay. I have to invite another musician to the stage. I'd like you all to help me in bringing forth our cute little Chloe to help us sing today. And go ahead and stand up. This is one of those times it gets a little jazzy. We need you to help, and we're stayed on spirit, boys and girls. 1, 2, 3. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. You know, I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. I said I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm walking and talking with my mind, y'all. I'm walking and talking with my mind. my mind. What? Woo, you know I woke up this morning with my mind. I said I woke up this morning with my mind. Hallelujah. 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 Again. Hallelujah. 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 One more time. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. The daily word for today, we affirm that I am one with the freeing guidant force of God. I am one with the freeing guiding force of God. When I think of freedom, I imagine a bird in flight, soaring above the earth. As the bird glides, it seems to effortlessly move through the air. Then it flaps its wings, moving upward and forward against the force of gravity. Likewise, I open my mind and heart and feel the freeing force of God within. This force is powerful and peaceful, and I give myself over to it. As I do, I overcome stifling feelings of stress or doubt. I trust in God, and I move forward and upward with a renewed purpose and confidence. Just as a bird overcomes gravity to fly with purpose, I overcome the challenges and circumstances of my life to find my purpose and live from my divine nature. I am free. So we can say with confidence, the Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can anyone do to me? Hebrews 13:6. And as you hold that truth intentionally in your being, I want you to notice where that takes up space in your body. As you were listening to the reading, what came alive for you physically? And as you notice that, I want you to hold that feeling in your body together with, I am one with the freeing, guiding force of God. And I want to invite you to just become comfortable in your seat and take a nice deep breath all the way down to your belly. And I want to invite you with the faculty of your imagination, which is one of your 12 powers, to breathe into that place in your body where that truth lives. And I want you to expand it. It may help to see it as a specific color of light or just as a feeling in your body. However works for you, I want you to notice that and concentrate on it. And hold that together, that expansive truth. I am one with the freeing, guiding force of God. There is nothing more pure, more stabilizing, more effectual than the presence of God in you. Continue to expand that sense of knowing in your body completely, moving against anything that you might perceive as getting in the way of that manifestation throughout your being. Breathe deeply. Open wide. Allow the very essence of God to be transformational in you. Continue to expand it. Feel that presence. Give yourself over to it. Recognize that you are inseparable from it. And as you breathe and relax every part of you into it, notice the shifts that happen in your body and in your mind. And as you take another deep breath and prepare to come back to the room, hold in your soul an awareness that when you have shifted, you have shifted. That from this moment forward, you are engaging whatever those things are that you came in with a new space in your consciousness, a new awareness, a new filled upness. And you may continue to give yourself over to the beautiful, expansive presence of God whenever you choose to. It is always there for you, in you, and willing to move through you. One more deep breath. And we honor who we are in spirit, and we honor who we are together, and we honor all that is being created in this place. We honor a minister who understands what it means to shift consciousness through thoughts and feelings. And we say yes to all that shall be birthed through us for this community, for the expansiveness of God's true presence in the world in so many individualized ways. And so it is.
Join us in singing One Love, One Power. Go on in. More love, more power. More love, more power, more of you in my life. Y'all sing now. More love, more power, more of you in my life. And I will worship you with all of my heart, and I will worship you with all of my mind, and I will worship you with all of my strength, for you are my God.
will worship you with all of my heart. And I will worship you with all of my mind. I will worship you with all of my strength, for you are my God. More love, more power, more of you in my life. More love, more power, more of you in my life. I will seek your face with all of my heart, and I will seek your face with all of my mind, and I will seek your face with all of my strength, for you are my God. More love, more power, more of you in my life. More love, more power, more of you in my life. More love, more power, more of you in my life.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits, holding on the Ritz? Different types who wear a day coat, pants with stripes, and cutaway coat, perfect fits, holding on the Ritz. Dressed up like a $1,000,000 trooper, trying hard to look like Gary Cooper.
Michael Triandafils, ladies and gentlemen.
Rockefellers walk with sticks or umbrellas in their mitts, putting
Barbara's gonna
on
sit.
the Ritz.
Unity on the Space Coast. Let us pray. Dear members of Unity on the Space Coast, I love your lifestyle. God loves your lifestyle. Don't change. Unless, of course, it's in harmony with the divine mind. Amen. Before I get started, I got to say, I feel a lot of love here. And all I got to say is I know you feel it too. I feel a lot of love, especially coming from this section right here. I don't know why, but coming right back at you. You know, I was asked to come here and give a talk on prosperity, and I was like, why me, Reverend Roxanne? I'm a humble guy, humble origins, and does anybody really know what prosperity is, huh? But she was like, no, I think you got a relationship with prosperity. And I was like, stop, Reverend Roxanne, please. Stop saying this. But she's like, you got to give it. And I was like, okay, I'll give it on one condition. She said, what's that? I said, you let me tell my story. She said, you got it. I said, I'll do it. She said, okay. I said, I'm here. So here I am. Hold on for a second. Don't you hate it when the weight of your wallet throws your back out of alignment. So here we go. Strap yourselves in. Let's go back about 40 years. All right. It was after I'd quit the University of Florida for the second time. I'm sorry, Mom. I apologize for that. I was living with a family of rabid vegans out in the woods. They lived in a log cabin. I lived in a dilapidated trailer without heat for about 6 months. It was pretty cold in the winter. All right. If I remember correctly, I think my net worth at the time was about $1.37, give or take a few cents. All right. And if you had asked me what a 401k was, I probably would have told you that it is a vitamin in seaweed, which we ate a lot of at the time. Lived there for about 6 months, and then someone lent me a car. And someone lent me a tent. And I drove to upstate New York, and I lived in the woods up there. Once again, my net worth was probably about $1.37, give or take a few cents. I'd gone up to New York because I wanted to be close to an ashram. An ashram is a spiritual center, usually Hindu-based, where you meditate, you pray, you do selfless service, you work, you do all that. And I wanted to experience that. So because of my good karma, after about a month of living in the woods, they said, hey, come work in the ashram. We're going to put you on the paint crew. We'll teach you a trade. We will give you room and board and a stipend. So strap yourselves in. Guess how much money I was making? I was making $30 a month. $30 a month. Anyways, at the ashram, I was exposed to the teachings of a lot of Indian mystics, a lot of saints, a lot of monks, actually from all traditions. And one of the things that a lot of them said was beware of money. Attachment to money is a great obstacle in the path to enlightenment. And I said, good, no problem here. I don't have any money. No obstacles. I was also exposed to a lot of stories about mystics who, like Christ, could manifest. One of my most favorite was Bhagavan Nityananda, who wandered India at the beginning of the last century. And he wandered in a loincloth, that's all he owed. And where he would go, he would have temples built. And he would hire the local people to build temples. And when it came to pay them, they would line up. He would open up his hand, and the exact amount of money that they were owed would be there. All right? Being a little bit spiritually naive and young, I thought, hey, maybe if I do my practices long enough, I'll be able to do that. And I had visions of me going into Taco Bell, ordering a taco, and saying, here's your money, keep the change. Hasn't happened yet. Probably a couple hundred more lifetimes for me, but I'm just letting you know. So anyways, I had all these thoughts going on about prosperity at the time, kind of going in there and kind of mixing it up. I stayed at the ashram for about a year, and then I finally went back to the University of Florida and got my degree and promptly did not use it. Instead, I bought a car for $100 and tried to drive to L.A. My uncle was out in L.A. He was a movie writer. The car blew up in El Paso, and after a long bus ride to L.A., I finally landed. I was in L.A. for about 18 years, and while there, physical labor. That's pretty much what I mostly did. I cleaned pools, I cleaned spas, I painted houses, I built movie sets. That was me. I needed that physical labor because physical labor is very good for an active mind And boy, oh boy, did I have an active mind. So that labor kind of grounded me. I guess you could say one defining moment that changed the way I thought about money was I met a girl. I met this chick. And we started dating. And we got married. A little while later, we got pregnant. Of course, I didn't get pregnant, but we did. And I thought to myself, you know, two things. I do not want to raise a child in L.A. And two, I don't want to raise a child with a net worth of $1.37. Just don't want to do it. So through grace and my beloved parents, we were able to come back to Titusville, and I got a job in the noble profession of teaching. The second big thing that really started to work on my ideas about prosperity was discovering this church. I remember hearing about it. We were out in Utah, and I typed in meditation in Titusville. And the link for this church came up. You guys ever get electricity up your spine when you know something's right? That's what I got when I read about this church. And this church became my spiritual center right here. And of course, I started to take classes. After about a year or two, one of the classes I took was a prosperity class. Because, to be honest with you, I wanted to start making money. All right? And I thought maybe my idea of prosperity was a little off. The first thing that you do in a prosperity class is you attempt to define it. Because prosperity means many things for many different people. It's wealth, it's health, it's friendship, it's your spiritual practice, it's the love of your friends, all of that stuff. But we start to break it down and see what it looks like for us, and also put it together to come up with a big definition. So we did that. But the definition that I was drawn to is the one by Charles Fillmore. You guys know Charles Fillmore? He is one of the main founders of the Unity movement. And Charles Fillmore calls prosperity this. He says prosperity is the consciousness of God as the abundant, everywhere present resource. The consciousness of God as the abundant, everywhere conscious resource. To me, that's pretty huge. In fact, that's about as big as it gets. And it's coming close to me, to my definition of enlightenment. The consciousness of God everywhere. You're swimming in the divine. You're walking in the divine. You're talking in the divine. And whatever you need, God has it. There's a Hafiz poem that I love. And the poem goes like this. God and I have become like two giant fat people living in a tiny boat. We keep bumping into each other and laughing. For me, that's prosperity. Everything you do, everything you say, every financial transaction you make, you are bumping into God, and you are joyous about it. There is not a sense of dread. There is not an ounce of fear there. There is nothing but love and humor. May we all be so blessed. One of the second things they ask you to do in a prosperity class is tithe. And they ask you to tithe 10% to the place where you are spiritually fed. That probably comes way back from Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9, which says, honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all you produce. By the way, you know who wrote that proverb? the Rockefeller of the Bible, richest man in the Bible, King Solomon. All right? So if anybody knew about prosperity, it was him. Now, I had never been very consistent with this, but I made up my mind to try it. I said, I love this place. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go through the course and see what comes. All right? So when my paycheck came in, right off the top, 10% went straight to the church. And at first, I didn't tell my wife about it. Eventually, she'll find out when it came tax season and she was doing the taxes, but I went for it. So I went through the course, and I went for it for the year after. And I'm still doing it now, but we'll get back to that. Another thing they do when you take a prosperity course is they make you keep a journal, and they make you list every bit of income that comes in, whether it's expected or unexpected. And what this did to me was it made me hyper vigilant about my resources, mainly money. I became hyper vigilant. And it also led to some error in thinking on my part. And the first error I call the I'm going to become a millionaire in a month error. All right? I had been so nonchalant for so long about finances that when I was like hearing this course and tithing, I was like, all right, God, let's get it on. Let's do this. Let's make $1 million. Wherever I was like, all right, God, how are we going to make money? All right? And I'll give you a little example. I helped a friend move another person, some furniture. She was moving out of the house. And she had this dining room table. And she didn't want it anymore. And it was pretty ugly. It was black leather made to look like alligator skin. And the guy said, oh, man, this table must be about $2,000, $3,000. She doesn't want it. I was like, ka-ching, in my mind. And I was like, I'm going to buy it off of her, and me and the divine are going to flip it. All right? So I offered $300, I think, drove it home, and me and the divine flipped it. About 6 months later, to the Salvation Army for a net profit of 0. Okay? So what that was kind of telling me was I can't game the game. You know what I'm saying? I can't push it. I can't manipulate it. All right? That was my lesson there. The other lesson or error in thinking that I got originally was called the I'm tithing, so I'm financially bulletproof error way of thinking. And I guess my lesson came when I was doing 90 in a 70-mile-an-hour zone on I-95 in Georgia, and the state trooper was pulling me over. And I was like, I'm tithing. He's not going to give me a ticket. $300 later, lesson learned. So I got used to tithing. It became part of my routine. And strangely, my finances somehow kept gradually going up. Little financial windfalls here and there. Opportunities for me to make money, paint jobs, whatever came in, I just went for it. All right? I had a really big windfall of grace when I inherited a dilapidated trailer in Los Angeles. My beloved uncle, who was a movie writer, left it to me when he passed. And I flew out over the summer and met with the manager of the trailer park. And the first thing she said to me was, that trailer ain't worth nothing. That trailer's, it's an eyesore, it's dilapidated, you need to have it towed off. And by the way, your uncle illegally added onto it and did not pull any permits. You need to get that thing gone. I was like, yes, ma'am, I just landed. Give me a little bit of time to process. She's like, all right. So I went and I stayed in the trailer, and it was pretty bad. Like the floorboard was rotten out. So when you went to the bathroom at night, you were literally taking your life in your own hands to try to make it from the bedroom to the bathroom. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I prayed, and the next morning I met the neighbors. And I told the neighbors what the manager had said, and these are their words. That's nonsense. Don't tow this thing away. Renovate it. And in fact, we got the guy to help you. And in fact, it's the same guy who illegally helped your uncle build that room. So I was like, big circle there. All right. He was amazing. He was a big old country boy from Florida. And between me and him and a few other people, we transformed it. They also said, we got a good realtor for you. And this realtor was brilliant, but also lent me a lot of the money to complete the renovation. I could not have imagined it any better. I couldn't have. All right? And that's not to say that I did not freak out a lot, because I did. It was a freak out situation. It was a mess. And I often called home, or I called Reverend Roxanne, or I called other neighbors, and I said, please pray, because it's getting really crazy. But all of that passed. All of that passed. And it became really evident to me as time went on that I wasn't really in charge of things here. And that if I just relaxed and let the consciousness of God as an everywhere abundant present resource take over, I would be fine. And I think I was able to do that because of my practice. Because of my tithing, I felt clean. I felt open. I felt worthy to receive the grace that was coming my way. So the practice of tithing carved channels in me through which grace could flow. All right? It was also shaping my view of prosperity and helping me get rid of the extreme views I had. That view that I had that only those who live in poverty are close to God was being wiped away. That extreme view that I had that only those who are very wealthy have favor with God, that was being wiped away, and I was finding my own path, and I was realizing that more and more, whatever came my way, I was supposed to be the steward of it. It was for me to steward it into the world, all right, which cut down on my attachment. I know when I came up here, I was like acting like Mr. Charlie Potatoes, but as you go along in this process, the more and more humble you become, because you realize you are not the doer. All right? So, I'm doing well right now. I'm doing really good. I'm not allowed to tell you how much I have, but I can tell you what it's not. It's not $1.37. All right? And this beautiful place here, this place where I have been spiritually fed for a long time, it's been my good karma to be here. It's been my good karma to tithe and my good karma to serve it. And I really hope that you're spiritually fed here too. And I would hope and I would ask that you consider tithing on a regular basis. We've rounded some major corners. We survived the pandemic. We survived a year of online ministry. And we've held our ground where a lot of churches have not. You guys drive through the town and you see churches shutting down left and right, but we have survived. I can tell you that we are not frivolous with the money here. We are good stewards. I've been on the board for almost an eternity. I'm not on the board right now, but I've been on for a long time, and I could tell you that whatever is given to the church is put to good use. The church also tithes. We tithe to local charities and different organizations. So we practice what we preach. But if you keep an eye on the board, sometimes the board back there is written, going into this year, we are not making as much as we are putting out. And I would ask you to consider becoming regular tithers. I know it will transform you like it has me. I almost can offer you a 100% guarantee on that. And if we all do this, we and the church will be putting on the Ritz, dressed up like $1 million trooper, trying hard to look like who? Gary Cooper, super duper. All right? There's a Rumi poem. I love Rumi. I always got to add him into my talks, where he kind of says this. He kind of says, stop window shopping. He says, buy something. Buy something. Create a huge, crazy project like Noah, just to be part of the exchange between God and you. My tithing has been a huge, crazy project for me. And the grace that has come with it has been wondrous. May it be so for you too. Amen. Oh.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Mike. Where's Michael? But hi, thank you so much for that. That just hit on all the right places and lets me know I have some more work to do. So, as always, thank you so much. The consciousness of God as an everywhere resource, that is profound. Please come forward. This is the time in our service where we are privileged to give back what we've been blessed with, recognizing that all we have is truly gifts of God. And we recognize that the substance that we are investing today is the very substance of God's being that was decreed for us before the earth was formed. And for that, we're very grateful. So we'll just bless what we're about to receive. And God, we say thank you so much for all the people in this place that have gathered together for their love of you, immanent and transcendent, and all the ways that you have benefited us, for the likelihoods that we're involved in, that we engage with great joy to be able to be a provision in this place, in this space together, for so many wonderful blessings and all the beautiful ways that we will continue to bless this community and even tithe into other spaces and bless the world. We thank you and we honor you in your many names, especially in and after the name and the nature of Jesus the Christ. Amen.
My senses like a night in a forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. Fill up my senses, come fill me again. Life to you. You fill up my senses, come fill me again. Come, let me love you, let me give my life to you. Let me drown in your laughter, let me die in your arms. Let me lay down beside you. Let me always be with you. Come, let me love you. Come, love me again. up to the stars and reach for the heavens and hope for the future and all that we can be and not what we are.
Mr. Bob Patterson on that guitar, ladies and gentlemen.
May the ushers come forward. Usher, thank you, to place a final blessing on the offering. Mother, Father, God, we know, acknowledge, and affirm that this offering is the very substance of your being. We are so grateful for the participation that we have had today, knowing that each and every cent is going to be invested to the upbuilding of the kingdom of God. For so many blessings, for so many intentions, for so much desire to do good in the world, we thank you and we set our intention and say, so it is. Amen. Prayer requests. We love to pray. Our phone number here is 321, again, 383-0195. Reverend Roxanne loves when you all reach out for prayer. Please do call the church. She will answer the phone personally and be glad and honored to pray with you. You can also submit your prayer requests through Facebook, our website, or you can also email the church at office@unityonthespacecoast.org. Thank you. And also I want to mention that when you all submit your prayer requests, after we pray over them for a time period, we also send them to the village where they are used in intercession for 30 days. So know that we got you covered. Unity was started as a prayer movement, and we maintain that, and we love to pray. Next week, Reverend Roxanne continues the Prosperity Series with her class on Tuesday and also a message on Sunday. So see our website or Facebook for more details on that, please. And now it's the time where we all stand and we sing our peace song, Let There Be Peace on Earth.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with our family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Thank you. Our affirmation for today and this week is, I am one with the freeing, guiding force of God. Together, I am one with the freeing, guiding force of God. And so it is.
Yay! By the way, for the birthdays,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear friends. Happy birthday to you. Let's go eat cake.
Thanks, everybody.